So it's the 5th of May today. So if you start breeding today, you're still going to be calving in the first week of February. So I suppose most people have started breeding at this stage. Some people are coming to the end of the first 3 weeks. Some people are in the middle. And whatever stage you're at, I suppose it's important to monitor progress and see how things are going. Martin, talk to me about how do we know how we're progressing or where we are?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. Both of us, Dennis, from being in practice and looking at fertility in cows, we're often asked the question, how do we manage poor fertility? But without knowing something in terms of the numbers that are involved, I think as the herds have got bigger, it can even be harder. So I suppose in that first 3 weeks, the key thing is the submission rate. That's the bit that we've control over. So submission rate for me is how many of the eligible cows. So for me, it's over 35 days. I don't know if you've got something different than that.
I suppose there's different definitions of when a cow is eligible, but I think that's a decent definition.
Yeah,
she's 35 days calved. Yeah.
So if we say 35 days and she's clean and she's eligible for service, then so how many of those are we serving in the first week, second week, third week? So our overall goal in 3 weeks, we'd really like to get to 90% of those eligible cows served in. So in week 1 we want 30% of those. By week 2 we've 60%.
Okay,
that's kind of a very rough way that I'm doing it.
So 100 cow herd, first week you're looking at hopefully having 30 served, 60 by the end of the second week, and 90 by the end of the third week. That's roughly where you want to be.
Absolutely. So at least we know that, and this is one thing that you talked to me a lot about, that efficiency and accuracy of heat detection. So at least if we know we're hitting the numbers, we're efficient at picking up the heat, so we know our heat detection is working. And then I suppose it's down to, are those serves, are they valid serves? Are they genuine serves? And that's something I always find a little hard to explain. What's your explanation around a valid serve?
Just because you're meeting your targets doesn't mean that you're breeding cows that are actually in heat. So so a valid serve, to me, the definition is anyway, it's a cow that's actually served when she's in heat, So, but you could be doing a lot of serves that are not valid. For example, if you serve a cow today, then you serve her tomorrow, 1 day repeat, then she's back in 10 days time, and then she's in 21 days time again. So she's got 4 serves, but she can only go on calf to 1 serve, So you have a lot of serves done, but only 2 of them probably are valid serves. Maybe one of the first 2 and the one of 21 days. So so I suppose that's one thing to monitor. Another thing you spoke about there, efficiency and accuracy. Talk to me about what's your understanding of efficiency.
Yeah, so the efficiency for me is, are we finding the cows on heat? Are we genuinely finding them? So somebody can be very efficient and find all the cows, right, and might be as accurate as you say. The serves might be valid. Other people are really, really good, are very accurate. They definitely find the cows on heat, but they don't find many of them. Right. So they're less efficient. So in the ideal world, we want to be both efficient and accurate. But I suppose a key practical thing is, when we're in the spring system, we have to get as many cows served as we possibly can, as quick as we can. So our accuracy is always going to be a little bit back, because you have a lot of cows bulling. You're never sure in some cows, but we can't get them in calf unless we put semen into them. So you have to, we have to kind of take the rough with the smooth as well.
So it's trying to strike that balance.
Sure.
Presenting cows. So if your efficiency is poor, it means you're missing cows in heat. That they're going out. And if your accuracy is poor, it means you're putting in cows that aren't actually in heat. So it's trying to strike that balance, that the most of them that you're putting in are actually in heat, and you're not missing too many cows along the way.
So the vets can help you. I suppose if you have your numbers, you know what you're submitting, and we know what we're submitting per week. If you have that kind of number, and give your vet a good guideline where you're in the right spot or not. And I noticed when using the Farm Ops app, this is something you really concentrated on, was identifying animals that are expected in heat, so we know what's coming at us. And again, knowing what those valid serves are, and we really use that valid serve number to know, are we efficient or are we accurate? So those numbers are there for a reason.
They are,
and that can point a vet and point you to a solution.
So I suppose you have your target for the 3 weeks, you have your weekly target, and then it's nice to have a target every day to see how you're going every day.
So let's say, Dennis, in your experience, if we weren't hitting our targets, say on the submission rate, so we're 2 weeks in, farmer saying, I'm not getting enough cows in here. What's in your mind?
So I suppose tis one of 2 things. Either they're not coming into heat, so you can't pick them up if they're not coming into heat. And the second one is, are you missing them? So is your heat detection, whatever heat detection aids you're using, are they good enough? Are you actually picking up these cows? So it's probably one of 2 things for me. So you either need to up your intensity of heat detection to try and pick up these cows. Or else, if you are doing a very good job heat detecting, why aren't they coming bulling?
Okay, so non-cyclers. And I
Non-cyclers.
suppose if we're identifying, if your heat detection is good, you know what you're at. But if you're getting a lot of non-cyclers, good idea maybe get the vet in to start having a look at these non-cycling cows.
Yeah, I suppose if that's the conclusion, that they're not cycling and cows aren't coming into heat, I think the next step is to investigate why they're not coming into heat. And probably the first thing there, I would say, is to get a scanner into them and see, are they actually cycling, or maybe if they're not cycling, what is the reason for that? Is it energy balance? Is it nutrition? So I suppose on the nutrition then, Martin, what you've spoken to me, some of the farmers we've been talking to, grass has been tight the last month, its growth has been poor, the strip wire has been up, concentrates the price is climbing all the time, so you're trying to strike that balance there with,
I get the sense that a lot of guys are feeding, and they're continuing to feed. I mean, they're not. I think milk price is holding them, and grass has been a struggle in places. But the one thing I have noticed is just that the pinch in the grass being held a bit too long. So just a bit conservative, leaving the wire in. Like herds now are hitting into peak milk. There are peak intakes. A lot of our cows are probably in need of eating 22, 23 kilos of dry matter a day, and that's higher than a lot of people are estimating. And interesting talking to some of the Chagas lads about it. Like they're looking at these higher production cows, higher production in solids, not necessarily in volume.
Yeah,
their demand is quite high. So we have to make sure we have enough herbage mass getting into them. We might be able to compensate them enough inside in the parlour, or we mightn't be doing that. And also we don't want to restrict. We want to get the clean outs. So there's a balance there, getting enough herbage into them. So if the tank is not doing what it says in the tin as regards the yield, and we're at risk maybe of hitting our first service conception rate, you really have to allow them enough grass.
So what are the two things you'd be looking out for as an early warning sign, I suppose, if nutrition is maybe not where it should be?
Okay, the tank falling off peak, certainly if you're dropping 3% a week off peak, or more than 3%, I'm saying, right, that's not right, particularly in theory, in the face of good nutrition. I'd really be watching that. Obviously, we're going to watch body score, certainly on the more challenged cows. But the problem is body score is always a bit of a lag. By the time you see them bad, you've probably missed about 2 weeks, and we can't afford that now. So if there's any suspicion of the milk yield or milk protein starting to drop on you, you need to lift that wire. You need to give them more access straight away.
Yeah, and growth is picking up, so hopefully that's a possibility.
Shouldn't be a bother. Let's get out. Let's trust ourselves. The country, like the grass resolves itself. We need to trust it and get going. And a lot of the other stuff we can't repair now. I mean, if you're mineral deficient, something like that, it's difficult to fix that right now. But what we can fix immediately is energy intake.
Yeah.